The last time I was in Tanzania in 2000, my guide took me to a map, and that map was basically of the Ngorongoro crater area. But he pointed out a lake, Lake Eyasi, and he told me that there were Bushmen at this location. Now, at that time, I didn't know if he merely meant there were men in the bush or people who spoke the Click language. He meant people who spoke the old Click language. The Hadza or Hadzabe people may have been in Tanzania for tens of thousands of years. There's only about 1,000 of them, and only 300 or 400 still operate as hunter-gatherers. Traditionally, they've been thought to have been related to the Khoisan people in South Africa because they do use the old Click language, and the Click language may very well be the first human language. However, recent DNA tests suggest otherwise. They suggest that maybe the Hadza are more closely related to pygmy groups, and that there's been an overlay of Bantu more recently. This morning we're going to be going hunting with the Hadza. They hunt with bows and arrows, and those arrows are only sharpened sticks, unless they're hunting big game. But it was the way they were fletched that I was interested in. The ends of the feathers' quills have been bent back and tied down to the arrow. In preparation for the hunt, the Hadzabe are getting a little something to eat, a little breakfast, and they're working with their arrows, sharpening them up for the hunt. For larger game, the Hadza do use steel-tipped arrows, which they can currently get from other tribes, or they'll also use poison-tipped arrows. The poison in the arrows comes from these plants. The poison is made from the Adenum coetanium, or elephant's foot. This is the Hadza's living quarters. We found them living in these air-conditioned huts. Hadza men usually hunt individually, and in addition to wild game, they might bring home honey or fruit. Hadza women usually go out in slightly larger groups, and they bring home things like berries, baobab fruit, tubers, depending on whatever the availability happens to be. To get us ready for the hunt, they gave us their bows and arrows and allowed us to take a little bit of target practice. I don't think that the animals are in any danger from us, however.
I failed miserably. I did. It landed over here. Oh, better. That was good. I'm happy. Somebody else want to try? Okay. I'd like to have a picture of them doing it.
Oh well, hunting isn't women's work anyway. Maybe the Hadza would like to see what one of the guys can do. Surely the guys can do a lot better.
You guys want to try it?
Yeah.
They had tried for me, but I don't know. Oh, that's
Oh, okay. So you gotta angle it more.
No. He wants you to pull it back. He wants you to go to the full draw.
Okay.
The Hadza bows are made out of a wood which reminds me a great deal of the American Osage orange, the material that American Indians made their bows out of. It's very stiff, and it requires a great deal of strength to come back to a full draw. Traditionally, the Hadza don't make use of hunting dogs, although this custom has been recently borrowed from some neighboring tribes to some degree. Most men, around 80%, don't use dogs while foraging, but our group did. During the morning hunt, our group shot 2 small birds and 2 squirrels about the size of an American red squirrel. How they hit them, I don't know, but I actually saw them kill one of the birds with an arrow. Now that we've got breakfast, we need to build a fire so that we can cook it. The fire making is going to be done in a traditional way, and the amount of time that you see it occurring, the amount of time it takes for you to see us making a fire, is about how long the Hadza actually did use to make that fire.
The small one, this is from the Comifera africana, and this one is from the sandpaper tree.
Hadza cooking techniques are basically heat and eat, with very little preparation involved.
Why not?
Awesome. Kenny?
Wherever you want, yeah?
Try it. We got you back. And then you can tell us how it
Somebody's
feels.
going to have to hold the camera at some point.
Yes, I know, Kuaba.
After breakfast, we're going back to base camp, where we're going to be entertained with a little bit of tribal singing. One of the things that I noticed was that when they're singing, the Hadza don't seem to use their clicks at all. Although hunting is illegal on the Serengeti, the Tanzanian authorities recognize that the Hadza are a special case, and they don't enforce the regulations against them, just as the Hadza are the only people in Tanzania that are not locally taxed or taxed by the national government. In fact, the Hadza were virtually invisible up until recently. It was only after documentaries on the Hadza that appeared on PBS and BBC in 2001 that the Hadza became a tourist attraction. Although this has given the Hadza some monetary income, it's also introduced alcohol for the first time. Something else that you might find interesting was that in 2007, the local government controlling the Hadza lands leased those lands to the Abu Dhabi royal family as a personal safari playground. Both the Hadza and the Datoga, which we're going to be talking about later, were evicted, and some of the Hadza resistors were imprisoned. However, after negative coverage in the international press, the deal was rescinded.